Happy day, wonderful people. I hope you're doing fantastic. I thought it was really important for us to discuss the situation over in Brussels with the farmers. And of course, it all leads back to everybody's favorite American Nazi, State Representative Brian Fuhrer Patrick. Check out this video. I'd like to premise this by saying that very few people seem to understand what the underlying problem is regarding this push for war by the EU. And I am telling you, this problem is rooted in American policy. Now listen to this, and then I'm going to summarize everything, pull it all together for you. Why we need to be putting all of our focus on this Pennsylvania representative, who is an agent of the FBI, head of CIA intelligence in the House Committee, NATO, and of course, Pennsylvania State Rep.
Is finding out exactly what is going on at the European Union right now. Apparently they're threatening them, saying money today or blood tomorrow, as they need more money for Ukraine.
Around about 137 billion euros. Europe should cover 2/3, and this is not just about numbers. And it is also about ramping up the cost of war for Russia.
With the UK's Prime Minister, to take care, explaining who their real enemy is.
Putin's appetite.
Yeah, they didn't vote for her. They didn't vote for her. That's the problem, is you have these people that are making decisions for the French that don't care about France. That's the fundamental problem, is that the people that are in the EU do not care about the best interests of these individual countries. They care about the collective economic goals of the EU that don't necessarily reflect the best interests of the people in the individual countries. This is an unelected fucking government, basically. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And of course people are going to be mad about that.
Conflict and for chaos is already there, and it will only grow. And Russia is already menacing our skies, our waters, our streets, and our national security.
Preparing their citizens to sacrifice themselves.
Virtue signal over power? Yeah.
It's absolutely clear that Russia's hard power is something to fear. Sons and daughters, colleagues, veterans will all have a part to play, to build, to serve, and if necessary, to fight. And more families will know what sacrifice for our nation means.
It's bad enough.
I don't think that you're going to have people that are willing to enlist into the army and go to war in order to fund the lifestyles of migrants and to have their jobs offshored to South America and be undercut while their quality of life consecutively goes down. You're not going to get people to sign up for the military and be willing to do this. No one's going to fight in that war. Yeah, it's not going to happen, guys. They're warmongering? Yeah, I think so. And yeah, what are they fighting for? Exactly. Yeah, what are these people fighting for? So they can continue to be ruled by bureaucrats in the EU and have their country overrun by migrants? Like, why would somebody want to go out and fight a war for that?
They've proven they just see their citizens as tax cattle to fund all their ineffective progressive nonsense. But now they're saying they see your sons as sacrificial lambs to a war that a majority of them forgot about.
Exactly.
Which brings up the bigger concern of all those foreign newcomers that already fled this war once before when Ukraine was initially invaded and have been receiving social benefits in the EU ever since. So if these European leaders think they can just send their citizens to be the first to fight their newest war to defend the men that refuse to fight it, I think their protests are going to become a lot worse than manure.
Absolutely.
So what he's referring to is pretty fantastic because the French are fighting back. I mean, they have no choice. This is hilarious if I can find it. Bear with me. I think this is it here. No. You see all these scenes. It's good for you to see all this. Farmers are fighting back.
Farmers from all across Europe have begun to surround the EU headquarters in Brussels. As the protest eventually became a fiery riot, the Belgian police began to deploy their water cannons.
Of course.
To which the farmers responded
It's like a
with blasts of manure, somewhat similar to Dragon Ball Z, just crappier.
Yeah, like Harry Potter or something.
It's glorious. So let's please have a wonderful prayer for the farmers in Europe and all those protesting this demonic entity that is ruling over them that wants a one new world globalist system, this beast system. Dear God, please watch over them, protect them, send your angels. This is not our battle, this is yours, Lord. We call on you, please be with these farmers. Take them to victory, Lord. We pray in Jesus' name. No one in the media is covering this traitor's crimes against humanity, his corruption, his treason. Until somebody, whether it's one of these ridiculously pathetic YouTube streamers, call themselves journalists, like Megyn Kelly, until one of them actually grows a backbone, I'm going to be bringing you all the information I possibly can on this traitor. I want to tell you how dirty this man is. His challenger for District 1 in 2024 is a family man by the name of Mark Houck. Let me read you this article. EWTN. Groundswell of support for Mark Houck, Catholic father of 7, arrested in FBI raid. Now remember, Fitzpatrick is an FBI agent. Let me read you this story. Mark Houck, the founder and co-president of the King's Men, a men's ministry, faces federal assault charges stemming from an altercation with a Planned Parenthood escort outside a Philadelphia abortion facility nearly a year ago. This is dated September 26, 2022. The arrest of a Catholic apostolate leader and father of 7 in an FBI raid last week has sparked a groundswell of support for him and his family. As of Sunday night, an online fund drive had raised more than $126,000 to help the family, far surpassing an initial $30,000 goal. Mark Houck, the founder and co-president of the King's Men of Men's Ministry, faces federal assault charges stemming from an altercation with a Planned Parenthood escort outside a Philadelphia abortion facility nearly a year ago. Houck, who regularly prays the rosary outside the facility, maintains he was defending his 12-year-old son from the escort's verbal harassment. A family spokesman, Brian Middleton, told CNA on Sunday. The man fell when Houck pushed him away, Middleton said. The altercation was captured on a video. When both the city police and the district attorney declined to file charges against Houck, the escort filed a private criminal complaint in Philadelphia Municipal Court, Middleton said. The case was dismissed in July when the man repeatedly didn't show up in court. Just days later, Houck received a target letter from the U.S. Attorney's Office informing him that he was the focus of a federal criminal probe into the same incident. Through his attorney at the time, Houck tried to contact the U.S. Attorney's Office to discuss the case but never received a response. Pennsylvania is so corrupt. The state is evil. It is wicked. The governor and down, including law enforcement. It is disgusting. You know what? Let's keep going. The next time they heard anything was Friday morning, he said. September 23, 2022. Mark Houck was arrested that day and charged with assaulting a Planned Parenthood escort outside a Philadelphia abortion clinic on October 13, 2021. That day, September 23rd, federal law enforcement officials arrived outside the Hawks' home in Kittnersville in Bucks County, Pennsylvania around 7 a.m. A SWAT team of about 25 came to my house with about 15 vehicles and started pounding on our door. Hawk's wife, Ryan Marie Houck, told CNN on Friday, just hours after her husband's arrest. They said they were going to break in if he didn't open it. And then they had about 5 guns pointed at my husband, myself, and basically at my kids, she added. They were pointing their weapons, Middleton said. They came in as if they were expecting some kind of confrontation. He was facing 11 years in prison for defending his child. That's how Brian Fitzpatrick operates. That is how the deep state works in the United States of America. And this traitor who belongs behind bars is destabilizing the entire world. And nobody is saying anything about it. Nobody in the media, nobody in our government. Why? Well, with all the intelligence and authority this man has, he's probably got dirt on nearly everybody in office. He specializes in election fraud. Do you think this man was actually elected? Do you believe that this man was elected into office? Because I do not. Because I don't know any Republicans who actually like Brian Fitzpatrick. They all believe he's a rhino. This man is an absolute disgrace. Brian Fuhrer Patrick. That's his name. That's this man's name. He is a Nazi. He is a Nazi leader. I told you in a previous video, House leadership taps Fitzpatrick to chair CIA subcommittee. Yeah, you can thank Traitor Johnson for that one. Tapped to serve as chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence's Central Intelligence Agency Subcommittee, an elite and highly sought-after leadership post charged with overseeing all operations of the Central Intelligence Agency, including all international covert operations. Yeah, I 100% believe Fitzpatrick destabilized Ukraine. I 100% believe that this traitor is destabilizing Europe and pushing European leadership into war with Russia. This is World War III that we are talking about. And President Trump isn't doing anything about it. In fact, his minion, Mike Johnson, is seeing to it that this goes forward. They're planning this behind the scenes. You want to talk about covert? This traitor was just appointed, this elite position. You're going to tell me that Trump isn't heading us into World War III with Russia? Why would Johnson tap Fitzpatrick for this? It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Mainstream media is a joke. It's a joke. Mark Houck and wife sue the FBI and DOJ for malicious prosecution. Era of targeting pro-lifers is over. I don't think that's why he was targeted either. I think it was because he's challenging Fitzpatrick. Months after being unanimously acquitted of all charges against him, Catholic father and pro-life activist Mark Houck and his wife Ryan Marie Houck filed lawsuits on Monday against the FBI and DOJ for malicious and retaliatory prosecution, abuse of power, false arrest, and assault. The Houcks, a family of 9 living in rural eastern Pennsylvania, are being represented by Graves Garrett, a Kansas City-based law firm. The family is also teaming with 40 Days for Life, the national pro-life organization with which Hawk has been a longtime volunteer. Sean Carney, president of 40 Days of Life, told CNA that the lawsuit is a signal to the world that the era of targeting pro-lifers for their beliefs is over. And I believe this goes far deeper than that. This isn't about him being a pro-lifer. This is about the fact that he announced his candidacy for Congress in 2021. Hawk expressed his desire to protect families and restore traditional values in Congress, challenging incumbent Brian Fitzpatrick in the Republican primary for Pennsylvania 1st Congressional District. This isn't about whether or not you're pro-life or pro-choice. That has absolutely nothing to do with this. This is gross abuse of power by a man who should be charged with treason and crimes against humanity. That's what this is about. And people who challenge him get their houses swatted, get arrested, have guns pointed at their wives and children. Let's just do a brief timeline here, shall we? In August of 2021, Mark Hawk announces that he'll be running for Congress against Brian Fitzpatrick. On October 13th, 2021, he was defending his son, his 12-year-old son, at a Planned Parenthood clinic. On September 23rd, 2022, Mark Hawk was arrested during a raid in which the FBI pointed guns at his wife and children. On January 30th of 2023, Mark Hawk was acquitted. He was facing 11 years in prison. U.S. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick did not face any opposition in the 2024 primary election for Pennsylvania's 1st Congressional District. His victory in the primary race was unopposed. You want to tell me this man isn't a Nazi? Good luck with convincing anyone with half a brain of that. Brian Fitzpatrick belongs in jail. All over the news circuit. Yet nothing.
His face
Absolutely
should be
nothing. Silence about his crimes, about this warmonger pushing for World War III, destabilizing Ukraine and Europe, swatting anyone who challenges him. Well, what is he going to do? Is he going to come swat me? Well, if the FBI show up at my house, you know exactly who sent them. I hear he's got one of his minions, chief of police at a local police department too, doing his dirty work. I hear all kinds of things about Brian Fitzpatrick, Brian Fitzpatrick. And I think it's time I focus a little bit more of my attention on him. Stay tuned. I'm sure I'm going to be able to dig up a lot more very soon. In the meantime, please share this information. We need all eyes on this traitor. Honestly, I think he's up there with Netanyahu. These evil men. Talk about comeuppance. I think we need to say a prayer. God, I pray that you soften this man's heart. He turns away from his wickedness and turns toward Jesus Christ. I pray, Lord, this man, he has caused so much suffering around the world. And if he won't turn from his wicked ways, Lord, I pray that you stop him. I pray, God, please expose this man. Expose him to the world. for his crimes, his wickedness. Stop him before he starts World War III, Lord. I pray. In Jesus' name. And if you guys find anything out about this man, put it in the comments. His reign of terror has to come to an end before it gets worse. I can't imagine anything worse than war with Russia. Who are their allies again? Okay, so of course we have Russia. Okay, Belarus. Let's see if I can zoom in here. It looks like Belarus is here. All right. Okay, Russia, Belarus, and of course, Iran. The tiny yet terrifying nation of North Korea. Don't forget about the American crimes against humanity via Obama and Clinton of Syria. We also have Mali, Eritrea, Myanmar, and India. And last but not least, China. And this isn't including all of the Muslim and Central American countries that absolutely hate the United States of America. This would require a draft. This is World War III. This is mass genocide. This is the depopulation agenda. This is Brian Fitzpatrick's goal. It is time to wake up. It is time to take a stand against his tyranny. If we don't take a stand against Brian Fitzpatrick, the deep state, this globalist agenda, mothers like myself, mothers of sons, we're going to have to leave the country. We're going to have to try to flee. Can't go to Canada. They're controlled by the EU. They're not going to be a safe haven. They're going to have the draft there as well. And we don't even know if they're going to be drafting girls too. We don't know. They're certainly going to draft all of our sons. We're going to have to try to figure out how to get through the border. And good luck with that. We've seen what they do to the Venezuelan boats. You think you're going to be able to hop on a boat and flee? Once they start the draft, we're not going to be able to get out of the country via plane either. We're going to be trapped. We're going to have to hide in the mountains. This is serious. This is as serious as the AI transhumanist agenda. The transhumanist agenda, this nanotechnology that they're spraying in the sky and putting graphene and God knows what in our food and drinks. This and World War III, this globalist mass genocide agenda. These are the two most important things going on in the world today. And nobody's talking about World War III with Russia. Nobody's talking about Brian Fitzpatrick and this deep state globalist New World Order agenda. People are so focused on Netanyahu. Yeah, he's a monster. He's one of the most disgusting human beings on the face of the earth right now. But so is Brian Fitzpatrick. He's up there with Netanyahu, and nobody is talking about him. I know the holidays are coming up, and the last thing you want to talk about is war and the New World Order. But this is the perfect opportunity for you to share this information with your friends and your family. You pick the right time. After dinner, when you're watching the game or whatever, we need to talk about this. Everybody needs to be aware of what Brian Fitzpatrick and the deep state are doing. They are planning World War III. We need to be aware. There needs to be public outcry. We need to get men like this out of office. We see how quickly everything's escalating in today's world. We don't have years to do something about this. I would say we have months, and we need to get to work, and we need to start taking it seriously. Please share this information. God bless you all. Stay brave, stay free. Try to stay human. See you next time.